I never thought a single moment could shatter my entire world. But it did. The day I found out my girlfriend had cheated on me. We had been together for 3 years, and in that time, I had shared with her every piece of my heart. I trusted her blindly, loved her endlessly. So when the truth hit me, it hit like a train. The days that followed were dark. I stopped eating properly, stopped going out. I was sick, physically and emotionally. My body weakened under the weight of heartbreak, and my mind spiraled with questions that had no answers. I isolated myself from everyone, even my family and friends. I didn't want sympathy. I wanted the pain to stop. That's when she walked in, Anya, her younger sister. At first, I didn't want to see her. She was a reminder of everything I had lost. But Anya didn't come to talk about her sister. She came with quiet kindness and unwavering patience. She brought soup when I couldn't get out of bed, texted me memes when I didn't feel like talking, and slowly, with no expectations, helped me stand again. She never pushed me to open up, but I found myself doing it anyway. Somehow, she understood the silence between words. Maybe she had seen more than I realized over the years. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Anya and I became close, first as friends, then something more. Her presence didn't erase the pain, but it made healing possible. She never judged me for my scars. She helped me wear them with pride. Now, a year later, I wake up every morning grateful, not for betrayal, but for the path it opened. Anya brought light back into my life, not as a replacement, but as someone who saw me broken and still chose to stay. I once thought love had left me. Turns out, it just came back in a different form, stronger, truer, and more real than ever. Would you like this adapted into a poem, a screenplay, or something longer? The first time I laughed again, really laughed, it was because of Anya. We were sitting on the balcony of my apartment one evening. The sunset cast a soft orange glow across the sky, and she was telling me about the time she accidentally dyed her hair green in college. Her hands moved animatedly as she spoke, her eyes lit up, and I found myself laughing, uncontrollably, freely. I hadn't felt that way in so long. It startled me. She noticed. "That's the first time I've seen you smile like that in months," she said gently. I looked at her and nodded. "You make it easy." From then on, our bond deepened, not out of desperation, not out of loneliness, but out of something real. We went on long walks, cooked dinner together, watched old movies until late at night. Slowly, I started to rediscover myself, not as a man who had been betrayed, but as someone who still had love to give, and someone finally receiving it in return. Anya never tried to be anyone else. She never compared herself to her sister. She was just her, honest, kind, funny, and flawed in the most beautiful ways. She brought peace to my chaos, but she also challenged me to grow, to dream again. One evening, months later, we sat watching the rain from her window. I turned to her and said, "I don't think I ever thanked you for pulling me out of that dark place." She smiled, tucked her hair behind her ear, and replied, "You walked out of it yourself. I just waited on the other side." That's when I realized love wasn't about perfection or grand gestures. It was about being seen when you're at your worst, and still being loved anyway. Part 3, the present. Now, I wake up every day beside Anya with a calm heart. We build a quiet, beautiful life together, full of morning coffee rituals, shared playlists, silly inside jokes, and deep conversations at midnight. Sometimes I catch her dancing while she cooks, or humming to herself while she reads, and I'm reminded how lucky I am that life led me here. It still amazes me how a painful ending became the start of something so healing. No, I don't hate my ex anymore. I don't even think about what she did. It's just a chapter I've turned, a lesson I've learned. Because what I have now with Anya isn't built on fear or insecurity. It's built on trust, friendship, and love that grew slowly, like a tree taking root after the storm. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. Would you like me to continue into a final part? Maybe a wedding, a twist, or a moment of closure with the past? One Sunday morning, almost 2 years after everything changed, I got an unexpected message. It was from her, my ex. Just a simple line. "Can we talk?" I stared at the screen for a long time, not out of anger, but curiosity. I had nothing left to say, but maybe she did, after talking to Anya about it. Because honesty was our foundation. I agreed to meet in a quiet cafe near the old bookstore we used to visit. She looked different. A little older, more tired maybe. There was no awkward hug. No attempt to pretend like nothing had happened. Just two people sitting across from each other with a lot of unspoken history. "I'm not here to ask for anything," she began. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry. What I did to you, it wasn't fair. I've carried the guilt." I nodded. "I know, and I forgave you a long time ago. Not for you, but for me. I needed to." She smiled faintly. "I heard about you and Anya." I looked her in the eyes. She saved me without trying to. We didn't plan it. It just happened, and it's real. "I'm glad," she said quietly. "You deserve that." There was no drama, no tears, just peace. We parted with a small nod, a silent agreement to leave the past where it belonged. Part 5, the future. A year later, I stood in a quiet garden lit with fairy lights and candles. Friends and family gathered, laughter floating in the warm evening air. Anya stood across from me in a soft ivory dress, her eyes glistening, her hands trembling slightly as we exchanged vows. There was no grand speech, just honest words. "I didn't come into your life to fix you," she whispered. "I came because I believed in who you still were beneath the pain." I took her hands and smiled. "You didn't rescue me. You reminded me how to rescue myself." We were pronounced husband and wife under a sky full of stars. Epilogue, a love rewritten. They say pain changes people. That's true, but healing transforms them. What began as heartbreak ended in hope. What once broke me became the very path that led me to something better. I lost someone I thought I couldn't live without, only to find someone I can't imagine life without now. Anya isn't just my wife. She's my best friend, my second chance, my proof that sometimes the most unexpected people can show up just when you need them most. And that real love, it comes softly, it comes patiently, and when it comes, it stays. Let me know if you like this turned into a short film script, a novel chapter, or something else creative. A year into our marriage, I found an old shoebox while cleaning the attic, dusty, half crushed under a pile of forgotten books. I opened it out of curiosity. Inside, I found a bundle of letters, unopened, sealed with dates going back 2 years. My name was written on each one. The handwriting was familiar. They were from Anya. She had written them back when I was at my lowest. During the nights I wouldn't talk, wouldn't eat, wouldn't even look anyone in the eye. She never gave them to me. Maybe she didn't think I was ready. Maybe she was waiting for the right moment. I sat on the floor, sunlight filtering in, and started to read. "You don't see yourself right now, but I do. I see the way your eyes still carry light, even when you think they don't. You are more than what she did to you. You think this is the end of your story. It's not. It's just the painful middle. The best part hasn't even begun yet. If someday you find this letter, I hope you're smiling again. I hope you're in love, not necessarily with me, but with life." Letter after letter, I cried, not because I was sad, but because I had lived every word she'd written, because she had believed in me long before I believed in myself. And without ever saying it aloud, she had known all along that something beautiful was coming. She didn't just help me heal. She knew I would. Later that night, I showed her the box. "You kept these?" I asked. Anya looked surprised. "You found them?" I read them all. She bit her lip, almost embarrassed. "I didn't think you needed them anymore." I took her hand. I didn't then, but I do now, to remember what love really looks like. Years later, we had a daughter. We named her Mira after Anya's favorite poet. On her 10th birthday, we gave her the same shoebox, now filled with letters we wrote together. Not about heartbreak, but about hope, about love, resilience, and starting over. Because sometimes the people meant for you arrive not at the beginning of your story, but in the wreckage of your hardest chapter. And that's where the real story begins.